this is life-changing albums for us now.
We're back.
So we'll just hop right into it. 2001. Apple released iTunes. That's pretty massive. And then tragedy struck us again with 9/11, which I can remember vividly as a kid. For some reason, I was home from school. Maybe it was a weekend that it happened. I don't know, but I was in my house, and I remember being angry because it was on every channel of the TV. And I was like, why is this on it was on everything, no matter if it was news or what have you. Like, it was on everything. And as I think I was, 11? Yeah, I was 11. Or, yeah. So it was like, why is this? I don't watch the news. I don't know what this means. Come to find out, yeah, pretty big deal.
Yeah, so I was in middle school. I was in 7th grade, social studies class. And this, obviously they weren't telling kids anything because they didn't want to scare them. I don't think they really realized that not many of them understood enough in context for it to, ground. But
Yeah.
Our social studies teacher was actually a long-term sub at the time, and it was Mrs. Stowe, or Miss Stowe. She's probably married now. Otherwise, I'd try to hunt her down on Facebook like the creep that I am. But she's also probably pretty old now. But she just said, some things have been happening in places they don't usually happen.
Yeah.
Which really wasn't an accurate depiction. I mean, yes, no, we don't have terrorist attacks here every day like there in some other countries, but
yeah,
there have definitely been terrorist attacks in America before.
Yeah.
But then they sent us home, and I went and played Desert Storm.
The scale of this one was just like,
oh, this is ridiculous. This
insane.
Is, I still think about the loss and
just the scale of it. It's just crazy. So this year in music, though, was insane. So this year is going to have a ton of honorable mentions. So I'm going to get those out of the way. The Gorillaz self-titled album that had Clint Eastwood on it, that was everywhere at this point.
That's what you should have watched instead of Gran Turismo. You should have watched Gran Torino.
That's a good movie. Tool's Lateralis, that had Schism on it. That bass line is so sick.
Dude, everything on that album is sick. I can't believe it's an honorable mention.
Stained's Break the Cycle. This album is good. This had Fade, It's Been a While, Epiphany, For You, Outside. Like, it blows my mind that this is an honorable mention for me, because this was a huge album. This was their album.
I mean, I get it. Stained, yes, that was definitely their album. But in the grand scheme of things,
yeah. Blink-182's Take Off Your Pants and Jacket.
Get out of here.
First
That's
date,
an honorable mention.
Rock show, stay
That's
together
an
for the kids.
mention.
Yes, that is an honorable mention. At least in my opinion, because these years really started to be like, oh, like these are like, there's so many albums from so many bands. Like, it's gonna get a little convoluted especially between me and you with our music tastes in this era.
Granted, but you're gonna have people rioting because you didn't include Blink-182.
Usher's 8701. You Remind Me, You Got It Bad, You Don't Have to Call. Dude, that album's so good.
I mean, it had good songs. I don't know that the whole album is like one of those things where you're like...
It's the thing about like these albums is like they're so long. If they would not be so long, they'd be solid from front to back. But they have so much filler, and like there's like 20 songs on albums. It's ridiculous.
It's 2024 and people are releasing double albums. So
From Autumn to Ashes, Too Bad You're Beautiful. Short stories with tragic endings. That's like their breakout song from that album. But this one, and there's another one. I forget the album that came out after this, but it's there. Edema, their self-titled album, Giving In, The Way You Like It. Like,
Another good one, but
I think it was Jonathan Davis's brother that was the vocalist in that band.
yeah, I hold them in like the Stained.
A little
Tier.
worse, but
Yeah, maybe.
that's the Sub Pump.
It's a
You're gonna
rough-
hear that quite a
No,
bit.
that's good. I was referring to the word worse.
POD's Satellite. This album.
That's an honorable mention?
Yeah. This album was huge for me. Youth of the Nation, Satellite, boom.
Youth of the
Set
Nation
It Off,
was
Alive.
enormous.
Dude, I remember singing Youth of the Nation in, I believe it was, what's the racetrack? The Williams Grove. They had like a little fair thing, and they had karaoke, and me and my friend Jesse were just singing karaoke, and this was one of the songs that I sang. Nickelback, Silver Side Up. As meme as it is to have Nickelback here, this album's pretty good. This was before Nickelback was like butt rock.
I'm going to digress on that point. I think they were probably always that, but I did like that album. Nickelback was actually my first concert.
Really?
Yeah. Nickelback, Three Doors Down, Puddle of Mud, and 12 Stones when I was 14.
You're probably going to shoot me for having this as an honorable mention. Brand New, Your Favorite Weapon.
Get out of here. No. What? That is the most iconic Brand New album ever released.
It is.
That redefined an entire generation.
It is my favorite Brand New album.
I swear to God, if Taking Back Sunday made the top 4, we're going to frickin' have a problem.
Taking Back Sunday is not in 2001.
No, they're 2002.
Incubus's Morning View. This one killed me not to have in the top 4, but it didn't make it. So the top 4 are Alien Ant Farm's Anthology.
No.
100%.
No.
Because I don't think people realize how major this album actually was.
It was huge. I will give you that, but I don't think it eclipses Brand New. I mean, Brand New literally like was the defining album for so many Seenie Weenies for like 25 years. Yeah. Alien Ant Farm, I mean, they had great songs. I love the band. And is that the one with Smooth Criminal?
Yeah, this was Smooth Criminal. It had Movies. It had Attitude, Wish, Death Day, Courage. It was a banger
it's
album.
Good. It's good. But I don't think it displaces Brand New. Anyway.
Sum 41, All Killer, No Filler.
Absolutely.
Nothing on My Back, Fat Lip, Motivation,
Dude,
In Too
Fat
Deep.
Lip, like,
this album, yeah.
That could live in your CD player for a decade and be okay.
This was my, like, introduction to, like, the punk scene. Like, this was when listening to them was, like, unheard of for me. Like, this was the first time, like, I heard anything along these lines.
I mean, that's like
because
OG,
they wore the studded belts and, like, the weird punk, like, outfits.
That's like OG raw pop punk. Like, that was defining for the sound that would come to be pop punk. That wasn't, like this Buttercup, Blink-182, happy-go-lucky sound, but, like, the really more aggressive, edgy,
yeah,
uncut around the corners.
Tuna
No Crust.
Number 3, Slipknot, Iowa. This is the Slipknot album.
Yeah.
It is heavy as balls. It is angry. It is everything that Slipknot is and should still be. I mean, People Equal Shit, My Plague, the Heretic Anthem. Like, dude, if I'm like driving in my car and one of the songs from this album comes on,
which it won't,
I'm just 120, get the out of my way.
It is an amazing album. Unfortunately, it's not representative of their mainstream success, but that's usually true with a lot of bands, that their best work isn't showcased. If you own a tank, this is what's playing while you're rolling. I mean,
This is the
that or Limp Bizkit.
This is the standard that everybody holds Slipknot to. Like when they're like, is your new album going to be heavy? Is it going to be like Iowa? And they're like, no. And it's like, well, we're not interested then. And number 4 is System of a Down, Toxicity.
That belongs.
Prison Song, Needles, Deer Dance, Chop Suey, Science, Toxicity, Aerials. Like this album, front to back, is just perfection.
Wake up!
Perfection. So the top 4, just because we've been talking about a lot of albums. Top 4 is Anthology by Alien Ant Farm, All Killer No Filler by Sum 41, Iowa by Slipknot, and System of a Down's Toxicity.
It's Toxicity.
Yeah,
I mean,
think
they like that. That was crystal.
Yeah.
Like that was pure crystal. There was no stone unturned in production value on those albums. Serj Tankian's vocals and the articulation of his voice at the time was. You can't comment on it because it was in pristine condition. And then the backing vocals from the short little crazy
Darren.
Yeah, Darren. Thank you. I couldn't remember his name. Wild. Just pure wild. And then to take this album and transcend it to the stage at places like Ozfest, like seeing it was a bloodbath.
This band came out of nowhere, to me, at least. Like, I remember seeing the Chop Suey video and being like, what is this band? Just seeing the vocalist, and he was like kind of weird, and like Darren was even weirder.
Darren definitely has something up.
And I was like, what is this? And then I picked this album up, and dude, me and my friend Brent, when he would spend the night, would just listen to this album on repeat, dude. It was in the CD player, just looping.
I'll be honest, I never owned or downloaded the full album.
Really?
I, cherry-picked all the top songs. I was introduced to System of a Down by the Ozfest demo, which had Needles on it. And I would, until I was able to download songs, I, listened to track 2 on that album, just, over and over and over again. I wish I still had that album because it was some amazing stuff. It introduced me to Andrew WK as well.
I have the System of a Down album over there, I'm pretty sure.
I'll make sure I take a look for it before I leave.
So 2002, this is a year of music that really changed my life.
I'm still upset about Brand New.
This had albums that legitimately changed my life. So Coachella became a thing, and American Idol first aired.
That early?
Yeah.
Probably could have waited a couple years on that, but...
So, the honorable mention...
Just one?
Honorable mentions. I didn't mark these because I suck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 2 honorable mentions. Killswitch Engage, Alive or Just Breathing. This had My Last Serenade on it. Yeah.
It's good, but it's honorable.
That's a good one. And then Sum 41's Does This Look Infected? The Hell Song, Over My Head, Still Waiting. The amount that I listened to this album is insanity. I watched I have the DVD from this album. That it was just all of their antics. It was basically like a CKY video. It's basically what that was.
Well, they were very similar. I mean...
So the top 4, you'll see why these are just 4 absolutely perfect albums. Simple Plans, No Pads, No Helmet, Just Balls. I Do Anything, I'm Just a Kid, Addicted, Perfect. This album
That is the Simple Plan album.
Dude, I remember skateboarding, just listening to this album in my friend's garage.
Do we have story time? Do we have time for story?
We have a story. You can have a story.
At the last Warped Tour, there was that year where it was like, this is it.
Yeah.
I went to the Merriweather show with my friend Abby, and Simple Plan was playing. So we went and we checked out a few bands, and Simple Plan was actually doing like a meet and greet behind the hill on the lawn. So we went over there, and she didn't have anything to get signed, so she had them sign her arm. Not a half hour later, we actually left the last Warped Tour early, went to a tattoo shop. She got his signature tattooed on her arm.
That's pretty tight.
And I'm just sitting there the whole time, and I'm like, is this really freaking happening? Okay.
So the second album in the top 4, Taking Back Sunday, Tell All Your Friends. Cute Without the E, Timberwolves at New Jersey, or in New Jersey, or whatever. So Last Summer. It's the Taking Back Sunday album, and I'm really not that big of a Taking Back Sunday fan, but this album is like top notch, 100%.
So this is actually the only album in their early releases that have the original lineup, minus Jesse.
When I was in with Pride, we're going to do a cover show, and we were going to cover Taking Back Sunday. And we learned Cute Without the E. I think we learned Timberwolves, and we learned So Last Summer. Those were the 3 songs that I remember. But, dude, learning these songs, like, made me realize how difficult it must be to be in a cover band. Because it was tough. It was really tough.
Well, yeah, I mean, Taking Back Sunday does a lot to articulate beneath just the surface. Like, there are, these little diddles and stuff that they do in guitar, and the drummer really involves a lot of different articulations. Mark O'Connell, he's amazing. The whole band's amazing. But I think did I record with Pride?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I remember that now. Yeah, that album maybe one of the best of all time of any genre. It's just so timeless. You think of the impact, and I'm getting caught up because
the songs in this album, like, if you put them on in a club, people are going to sing them. That's how massively huge at least 2 songs on this album are.
Yeah, I mean, Cute Without the E. Cute Without the E is the emo song.
Yeah.
I went to see Taking Back Sunday back in November in D.C. There was 150 tickets sold, so there weren't that many people in this club. They only played 7 songs. They played Cute Without the E, and you literally could not hear Adam.
Yeah.
You could hear the crowd and the instruments. You could not hear Adam.
So the third album,
CKY,
Infiltrate, Destroy, Rebuild.
Yeah.
Escape from Hellview, Flesh into Gear, Attached to the Hip, Close Yet Far. This album is insanely good. It really showed, they were more than 96 Quite Bitter Beings.
Yes.
They were much more than the band that wrote the they were more than that. And this album is insanely good.
Not my cup of tea, but I will acknowledge it for what it is. And yes, it was definitely a very, very big step up from their previous offering.
Yeah.
It showed that Bam was more than an idiot. I mean, he's... I guess, an idiot, if you're running in front of cars, it doesn't matter how smart you are, you're still an idiot. But, Bam Margera had his place in society, and I think that we all appreciate it.
I think, in retrospect, this album was, their kind of, break-off, where they were they may have used, a song or 2 from this album in, something. But this was their separation from the Bam Margera fiasco.
Damn it.
Yeah, I was gonna do that too because that's getting crazy. This was their break off from that, and they're look, we are actually a legitimate band. We don't need this to carry us. So But this album for me was huge. My friend Jesse had it, and we listened to it, and I think I liked this more than him, and I think he ended up just giving me the album.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
And then this last album, this is an album that I hold very near and dear to my heart. I legitimately get choked up listening to this album. The Used, their self-titled album. Taste of Ink, Box of Sharp Objects, On My Own, Buried Myself Alive, Blue and Yellow, Poetic Tragedy. Like, dude,
Burt McCracken.
Every time that I listen to this album and I hear On My Own, I get the biggest lump in my throat and I want to cry. It hits me that hard every single time I hear that song. I've heard The Taste of Ink probably 17 billion times. And how many times do you think I skip it? 0. It's the song that comes on and I'm like, it's this song again, but I'm like, I'm just going to sing along to it.
I mean, to give context to that for our viewers, I'm going to preface it by saying your backstory definitely lends to that. I'm not going to get into the details because I don't want to put your life on, flame for everybody to know, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
It grounds, it totally makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that song just, dude, every time I hear it is just like, oh my God. It's just a rock just fucking hit me in the head.
Well, yeah, no, I completely get that. In a lot of ways, it doesn't hit me necessarily that hard, but I do feel the same way to a degree. I'm not going to be able to pick one.
You have to.
I can't.
You have to.
There is no way, shape, or form that you can hold the Used self-titled and
can you believe
tell all your friends
those two albums came out in the same year?
That's you can't do it. You can't pick one of
along
those.
the same thing with like the Used self-titled. Also, like, dude, this album was the album that me, my friend Niles, my friend Eric would be driving in his like Escort. We had 2 iPod speakers because his speakers blew, and we had an iPod Nano that we threw on this album, and we just drove to Hanover and drove to shows, and we were just singing this album. This is my choice for the album. It may be my favorite album of all time.
I mean, and that's saying something, but whoa.
Yes,
that's really saying something.
I think it's up there higher than that album.
That was one of my first exposures to that genre. Whether you want to call it alternative or emo, I don't care. I do view myself as an elder emo.
100%.
Because it was so foundational. There's no picking between those 2 albums. They're like, if you had this little basket and it was the Elder Emo emergency kit, and it's got like the black eyeliner in there and the studded belt, both of those albums have to be there.
So let me pose this to you as an argument for which one should take the cake. I mean, if you go into a club and you put Cute Without the E on, and people are like, oh my God, I know this song. You're So Last Summer, you could probably put that on, but Cute Without the E is like the one. But like, the Used self-title, I mean, The Taste of Ink, Box of Sharp Objects, Buried Myself Alive. Arguably Poetic Tragedy because that song was in Grind.
That's the thing, though. I think about playing that album in a club or like in pop culture, and it has its place, but I don't think it would ground as big or as largely as you're saying.
The Taste of Ink and Cute Without the E are like.
Yeah, Buried Myself Alive is like the Used Cute Without the E, I think.
No, Taste of Ink.
Yeah. No.
What? Buried Myself Alive is not bigger than Taste of Ink.
No, the Taste of Ink is definitely their bread and butter. You're right.
That song is the one that has transcended the band and their place in like emo history.
But I don't know that it's going to ground as well as Cute Without the E would
It's
in popular culture.
100%.
Like Cute Without the E, you have people who definitely wouldn't have fallen into the emo stereotype in the day, and they're just like, oh, yeah, that.
I promise you, the Taste of Ink is right there.
I think we need to go try it out.
That would be an interesting, like, experiment.
Time to go to HMAC. Oh, that's about Hey, Chris from HMAC, if you're watching this, you're not. Get one of these two bands there.
Yeah, I mean, the Used self-titled, it's my pick.
Am I really not allowed to have a tie?
You have to pick one.
I'm taking Back Sunday.
I figured you would. I honestly figured you would.
I have to, because you didn't.
So, 2003, the iTunes Music Store launched, so you can now officially buy music on iTunes to put on your iPod or whatever. And Napster launched their own store where you could buy music. So this is when digital downloads for music really started to kick into the mainstream and become a thing.
Did Napster also shut down their website that year because nobody cared?
Probably, it wouldn't surprise me.
Napster was dog crap after they stopped free download.
This is a year of bangers as well. I mean, it was really tough for me to do this top 4 too. So, honorable mentions. Silverstein, When Broken, is easily fixed.
Damn it.
Smashed into Pieces, Giving Up, Bleeds No More. It's a certified classic, but it just missed out on the top 4.
Yeah, I don't know if it's emergency kit worthy.
A Perfect Circle's 13th Step.
That can definitely be honorable mention.
This album's so good. Weak and Powerless, The Outsider, The Noose, Pet, this is an album I can listen to from front to back. If you've never heard A Perfect Circle, listen to this album because it's so good.
It's good, but in context. Like, A Perfect Circle never really,
I like A Perfect Circle more than I like Tool, if I'm being honest. I think Maynard in this band is whew.
That album, that CD, was actually left in the CD player in the 96 Firebird that I bought in high school by the previous owner. I found it when I was doing the transmission replacement for it, and I was like, I guess I'll listen to it. And then it wound up being very, very worthwhile. I like them. I just don't think that they're all that.
Then the last honorable mention, this hurts for me to put in the honorable mentions. And it could be argued that this could fit into the top 4, but I think this album that's on number 4 is just a step above this. Blink-182's self-titled album. Feeling This, Violence, Always, I Miss You, Down.
Holy crap, man.
Yeah.
I need to hear these 4 and then we need to talk.
This album was my big introduction to Blink-182. In my early teens, this is the album that I would stand in my room with my friend Eric, and we'd have our guitars that we didn't know how to play at the time, and we'd just dangle a microphone from my ceiling fan. Yeah, we'd dangle a microphone from my ceiling fan. We'd crank this album up as high as it could go when my parents were gone doing something. And we just pretend in being a band, and we would just sing back and forth, pretending we were in a band. I remember that vividly.
I remember learning to drum to that album. That's shortly after I started drumming in my life, and that's foundational. So we need to hear these 4 to make an evaluation.
So the top 4: Linkin Park's Meteora, Somewhere I Belong, Lying From You, Faint, Breaking the Habit, Numb. This is my favorite Linkin Park album. This one hits home. It's perfect, absolutely incredible. It's 10 out of 10.
Meteora, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say that it's better than Hybrid Theory.
They're neck and neck for sure, but I
Yeah.
think this one just is a little bit further for me.
I don't necessarily want to use the word better, but I think it's more mature,
Yes.
which makes sense
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's a subsequent release, but it definitely deserves a spot in the top 4 of this year, I think.
Number 2, Yellow Card's Ocean Avenue.
Whew.
Way Away, Breathing, Ocean Avenue, Empty Apartment, Only One. This is another. If you're into emo
Dude,
music,
that is an
this
emergency
is your.
kit.
This is yeah, yeah. It's perfect. It's another 10 out of 10. Just
Ocean Avenue wasn't that on an MTV show as like the theme?
I don't know.
I mean,
I think I think Only One might have been what you're thinking of.
might have. It was one of the two, but like that. Those songs, those were foundational. They transcended stereotypes. They transcended generations. They were just.
Ocean Avenue
I
is
can't talk
another
about
is another song that you can just go into a club and just hit play, and people are like,
That is the song.
yeah, yeah. Number 3, Story of the Years, Page Avenue. I mean, Until the Day I Die, Anthem of Our Dying Day, Razor Blades, Sidewalks, In the Shadows, Dive Right In,
I saw both.
and
of
The
them
Hero
at
Will Drown.
I saw both of them at the same show last year.
I hate you. I could have, but I just refused to pay those prices. I mean, this album, I can remember, this is another album that I can remember exactly where I was when I heard it for the very first time. I was at Eric, because he was my best friend at the time. I was at his cousin's house, and his cousin's boyfriend was old enough to drive, and we were driving on like the back roads near like Helm, Wrightsville area probably, and I heard Razor Blades, and I was like, what is this, and why is it so damn good? And from there on out, like, it's my favorite band of all time. It's one of the many favorite albums of all time. Absolutely changed my life 100%.
Agreed. And I want to sidebar for a moment. Anthem of Our Dying Day or Until the Day I Die. You can only keep one. The other one you never hear.
Ouch. I think Anthem, if I'm being honest.
Really?
That music video resonates more with me, and I love the music video for that. And it's also one of my like preferred songs to play on guitar.
Okay.
I love playing that song.
What are the opening lyrics?
You gotta put me on the spot like this. Stars will cry the blackest tears tonight. And this is the moment that I live for. I can smell the ocean air. Here I am, pouring my heart onto these rooftops. Yeah, dude.
They're insane.
They're I mean,
They're insane.
Adam Russell is the reason I became a bass player.
I mean, I could see that.
He is the 100% reason that I decided to become a bass player.
I could never see you backflipping off of the ledge at Chameleon Club like he did, but
No. And then
he's
number 4, before we derail, Fall Out Boy's Take This to Your Grave. Dead on Arrival, Grand Theft Autumn, Saturday, Chicago's 2 years ago. Dude, this
staple.
Fall Out Boy album is so good. It's so good. And every time I talk to people about Fall Out Boy, they just neglect this album, and it blows my mind. It's so good. It's so good. From Under the Cork Tree is not better than this album.
Let's.
It's not even close.
No, From Under the Cork Tree is pretty good.
It's
I don't know
nowhere
that it's
close to this
better.
album.
Yeah, I mean, see, right now what's going through my head is, does that displace Blink?
For me, this just in terms of like front to back listenability, this Fall Out Boy album barely beats out that Blink 182 album.
I could see that. I could definitely see that because like the tail end of the Blink album kind of got a little ambient and
Like
the
the
really
weird
started,
like piano and like that girl talking like on a messaging machine.
Well, evidently they did something right because it's still stuck in my head,
Yeah.
20 years later. But and I think they had the guy from The Cure on that as well.
Not sure.
I'm almost positive I remember that.
So this begs to question: Meteora, Ocean Avenue, Page Avenue, or Take This to Your Grave? I have a feeling I know your answer.
I gotta pick Yellow Card.
I knew you were going to pick Yellow Card. I called it.
Well, I mean, like, there's some history there, and
For
I'm
me,
not gonna
it's,
get into that, but
it's Page Avenue. I mean, dude,
well, yeah.
absolutely life-changing album. When they did the anniversary tour for this, it was the 10-year anniversary for this album. I had to go. We got VIP tickets. We got to have like a acoustic show before the show, which was fantastic. And then we got to meet everybody. We got a big picture with everybody, and I got to like just talk with Dan and Ryan and Josh and Adam and Phil, and we actually met Hawthorne Heights during that show too, because it was Hawthorne Heights, Story of the Year.
I saw them a couple years ago.
That was at Baltimore Soundstage. But dude, yeah, Page Avenue for me, it's just
Page Avenue's definitely the best Story of the Year album.
Yeah, definitely.
I
The way
just-
it starts out, dude, and Hero or Drown, it's just like that feedback, like cutting in and out, and it's the drums. Dude,
Yeah, but Yellow Card. I'm fairly confident the opening track on Ocean Avenue is Way Away.
I believe so, actually.
So you think about that, and it's
Yeah.
the same thing. Like it's right there. It's just
Punch, boom. Yeah. So 2004, Justin Timberlake showed the world Janet Jackson's titty at the Super Bowl.
Millions of men got their wish and were drastically underwhelmed. Hey.
This is another banger of a year, dude. That it was tough to pick the top four.
Well, and also, just to preface this, let me set the stage. In the year 2000, I turned 11, so I was 16 in 2005. This year, I was 15. So this is like a really, and you're what, a year behind me?
I was 14.
Okay, so, yeah, a year behind
Wait,
me.
yeah, 14.
These are extremely foundational, impressionable years. So
Yeah. So we'll go with the honorable mentions yet again. There's 4 of them. There's Killswitch Engage, The End of Heartache. It's when
That's
Howard.
good.
It's the first album with a Howard Jones, and Howard Jones in this band, dude. Jesse has his place, but Howard changed this band, and they just went crazy. So good.
Looking like a double wide surprise.
Under Oath, They're Only Chasing Safety.
2004, yeah.
So, A Boy Brushed Red, Living in Black and White, It's Dangerous Business, To Go Outside
Walking
Your
Out Your
Door
Front
or
Door.
something. Reinventing Your Exit. Like, this was the Under Oath album, and it is solid.
It was. I don't know if it was the album, but
For me, it's the album.
they had some really good ones over the years. I think that's debatable, but I would largely agree, because it's iconic. The girl on the front in the oxygen mask, everybody
Yeah.
knows it.
Green Day, American Idiot. So, I mean, American Idiot, Jesus of Suburbia, Wake Me Up When September Ends, Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Like, it was, when this album came out, I remember it was, like, cool to hate this album. Like, I remember it was, like, cool to hate this album. Like, it was, when this album came out, I remember it was, like, cool to hate this album. Like, it was, when this album came out, I remember it was, like, cool to hate this album. Like, it was, when this album came out, I remember it was, like, cool to hate this album. Like, it was, when this album came out, I remember it was, like, cool to hate this album. it was the thing to like just hate this album. And when it came out, like I wasn't thrilled about it. Going back to listen to it, why?
I think it's still cool to hate it because it's a marked departure from their other stuff.
It was a huge. This was like their.
Like they walked into the mainstream on this one, and this was a very. Granted, Green Day was never going to just say screw all y'all that supported us before. They weren't going to sell out like that. But I think this was definitely as close as they were coming to selling it.
Yeah, and they made it cool to wear dress shirts and ties with studded belts and dress pants.
Did they? Did they, or did somebody do that before?
I feel like for me, this was when it was like...
They definitely blew it up.
Everybody came in, they wanted to wear eyeliner as dudes and spiky hair and stuff. So, this hurts my soul to put this as an honorable mention. The Used in Love and Death. I know. But
I need to get the Chick-fil-A girl over here to give you the eye roll. Like, dude.
Take It Away, I Caught Fire, Let It Bleed, All That I've Got, Listening, like another album that's perfect from front to back. And also, like, dude, I remember my friend Eric. These were the years, like, me and him were just, like, he was basically living at my house.
I'm beginning to question what you and Eric did.
And we'd be trying to go to sleep at, like, 3 in the morning, and he would be on the top bunk of my bunk bed. We'd be trying to fall asleep, and I would hear him just be up there, and he'd be like, so deep. And I would just be like, dude, shut up. Because he sang that so much that because he was obsessed with Burt McCracken at this time. Like, it was his, like, idol. And for me, like, this is when I started to get, like, towards, like, heavier music. So at first, like, I would make fun of him a lot. But, I mean, this is an album that I do hold very near and dear. But it surprisingly didn't make the top 4.
I feel like the conceptualization of him being in the top bunk may be a work of fiction. But we're not going to get into that.
So, are you ready for the top 4?
No.
Hawthorne Heights, The Silence in Black and White, Life on Standby, Nicky FM, The Transition, Ohio is for Lovers, Silver Bullet, like...
That's an amazing album.
It's incredible. That
is an amazing album.
I saw them play this in a garage in York. Skid Row. They played this album from front to back, and it was on a whim. They were supposed to play a show, that got canceled. They made a post, was like, can we play anywhere in Pennsylvania around this area? And Skid Row was like, come on. I think Handguns played that show too.
You gotta love McKaiser.
Yeah, that album is... Ooh.
Doesn't get the credit it deserves, but it's a staple for, like, that is the true emo album.
Yeah. It's like the emo songs should be. It's like the typical, like, cut my wrist and black my eyes, like.
I like how you make fun of it.
Like, that was the thing of just, like, if you're emo.
That's like you're emo, but, like,
singing the sad songs.
Just real quick, I want to take a nod to, all the hate that emo got back in the day, and how
and now it's the cool thing. Yeah,
it's not even the cool thing, but it's given way to so much awareness around mental health in today's world.
True.
That, like, I think that was a foundational thing that kind of grew into today and what it is, and I don't think it's acknowledged that is what did that.
Yeah. Number 2, My Chemical Romance, 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. Helena, I'm Not Okay, Ghost of You, Thank You for the Venom. Wow.
I rocked that album.
Wow.
You Forgot Cemetery Drive.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
Just perplexing. Just perplexing.
Insane. And, like, to be honest, everybody wants to talk about the Black Parade.
It's good, but it's not where it's at.
It's not anywhere close to as good as this album.
No, when I'm Not Okay came out,
Dude.
that it's just they like those guys. Gerard Way is
Joe Rogan's cousin.
yes, but he understands showmanship. He gets it.
I
He
agree.
knows what it means to be an entertainer.
Yeah. Number 3. I don't know if this album is as big for you as it was for me. Atreyu's The Curse.
You skipped the used for Atreyu?
Dude, this album was so insane for
The
me.
Curse
at
rips,
least.
but it doesn't rip like the used in Love and Death.
I don't know, man. Like,
Sit there and tell me there are more songs on The Curse that
Bleeding
actually
Mascara,
ground.
Right Side of the Bed, The
Lip Gloss and-
Crimson, Demonology and Heartache.
So there's 4.
I didn't write down.
Now tell me, I know you can
They had
name
a
In
Bon
Love and
Jovi
Death.
cover on this one, too.
I know you can name the songs that ground for In Love and Death.
There's 5 on here, but I mean, there's Cut Up Angels, there's Hard to Say.
And these are coming from your brain.
I know.
Think we need to reevaluate that one, but I will leave it alone.
Maybe. It was tough, man.
It's not easy.
It was tough.
It's really not easy. I mean, these are
I didn't even say
albums-
the 4th one yet because I'm pretty sure this is your pick.
what?
Senses Fail, Let It Enfold You.
Oh,
Lady in a Blue Dress, Buried Alive, New Jersey Falls, Irony
MJ
of
Falls in the
Dying,
Atlantic. Irony of Dying on
Rum
your
is for
birthday.
Drinking, Bite to Break Skin.
Yeah, that.
This album rips.
Oh, you listened to it again?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, yeah, that album.
This is just one of those albums that I just forgot about, but when I listened to it, it just came right back, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
So Buddy, the singer of Senses Fail, has a tattoo on his chest that says "Follow Your Bliss." Yeah, actually, it's a line in a song: "Follow your bliss," emblazoned on my
Yep.
chest. I knew I got it tattooed for a reason. My high school girlfriend actually got it tattooed on her foot. So that's how into Senses Fail I was.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that's really a reflection of me, but you know, both of us, like, we both were right there with that. And it's between that or My Chemical Romance for me, because I listened to both very, very heavily. I had a stage with My Chemical Romance. I had the shirt with, you know, like the Helena on it. If you go out to MySpace, I'm sure that picture's still out there. If you can get it to load, because those guys suck. But Senses Fail, I had the Senses Fail shirts too, like the ones with the bullets and the hearts, the pink one.
Yeah.
And like,
Yep.
it just, this is going to be hard to pick one of those.
It's tough.
Well, you have to pick Atreyu because you skipped the used for it. So.
No.
No, you have to vote Atreyu, otherwise the used gets that slot.
I think my pick is Hawthorne Heights.
Oh yeah, I forgot they were in this.
Yeah. This album for me was
Wow.
another one of those ones that was like life changer album, just like, because it was
Hold
kind
up.
of like the first album that I really heard that had like that like raw scream in the back of it.
Considering, well, then you didn't listen to Senses Fail very well.
This album was later for me. Like, this came later.
So, I have a proposal. Since it's 2004, let's swap the used and Atreyu and call it a four-way tie between Hawthorne Heights, My Chemical Romance, Senses Fail, and the used, and consider that the foundation of emo, like the start.
That
of
is
emo.
like kind of when like that whole genre was like mainstream, I want to say.
Hot Topic was the hot thing.
Oh my god, yeah.
I'm sorry, but if we swap those two out, which I don't care if we do or not, I can't pick a single album. You know, I say Senses Fail is my choice, and then I'm like, no, Hell Hawthorne Hearts is my choice, and I'm like, no, Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge as much. I can't. I can't.
I think
I'm gonna get upset.
I think for you, like the way that you talked about the Census Fail album, like I think that would be your like choice as like the one.
That's the hard thing though. Like I think about it, I wasn't driving yet at that point. But every time I think about one of those albums, I can remember when I was listening to it and where I was at and what I was doing. And I was going through a ton of stuff back then. Like I grew up with my grandparents, and that was the point that I actually had to move in with my mom. And my mom and I did not get along at the time. And that's when I listened to a lot of Hawthorne Heights. And then,
I mean, it's the like all of these albums are like the most like teen angst albums you could possibly put in here.
Well, like I think of Hawthorne Heights, and it's like "Fuck my life, let me die," and then I think of like Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge, and it's like, "Oh no, fuck my life, you're gonna die."
Well, if I'm thinking of,
and then Census Fail's just like fuck everything.
If I'm thinking of the My Chemical Romance, it's like instead of fuck my life, I'm gonna sit in the tub and cry
with a toaster. No, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like it. No, I don't know. I think the crying is really reserved for the Hawthorne Heights album. Like that is really the Woe Is Me album. Like the whole my heart is broken and I'm gonna fucking let you know it.
Like I think if we're gonna do the swapping, it has to be Hawthorne Heights, My Chemical Romance, Census Fail, and The Used as like the absolute foundation for their genre.
That's what I'm saying. Like those four.
So we're just gonna put all four of them. All four of them.
We have to. I mean, like
just
those...
as one solid rock. Just drop it down.
Let's just get them all pressed on the same.
Put
vinyl.
them on the wall. Break in case of emergency.
We should do that. We should get all four rights to all four of those. Get them pressed on the same vinyl, and then sell it as the start of emo.
Just have like each corner has like the album art on it. That would be sick. We got ideas.
It's never gonna happen.
So 2005, the last one that we'll be talking about for this segment, because we are coming up on an hour of just this segment.
Dude, this was...
Because this is just like building blocks for our lives, basically. So Blink-182 went on their huge hiatus in 2005. Brian Welch left Korn and became a Christian. And
I love how it has to be noted that he wasn't a Christian when he was in Korn.
And Michael Jackson got off.
For the first time or for the last time?
No comment. So
he must have been at that amusement park.
So the honorable mentions. These are some weird honorable mentions because they are all over the place. System of a Down, their double album, Mesmerize, Hypnotize. I mean,
had some good songs.
No. So I just recently re-listened to this album. It is a banger. Like it perfectly follows up like Toxicity. It really does. It's got like that the Hypnotize was like the huge breakout from this album. Vicinity of Obscenity, like that song is so strange.
I didn't like them.
It's so like the album is like weird, but it's so good that you just don't care. Like Vicinity of Obscenity is just like he's just singing about terracotta pie. I don't know what that means, but
terracotta is a type of clay.
If you listen to the song, you're just like, what the hell is this guy saying? It's so good, though.
This is the point where Census Fail got... not Census Fail. System of a Down got to a point where I started to get concerned about their well-being.
This album
like they
was
were getting
really
kind of
good.
weird.
This album was really good. I really liked this album.
And I like weird.
Avenged Sevenfold, City of Evil, Beast and the Harlot, Bat Country, and I forgot about this song, Seize the Day. It's a pretty big album for Avenged. It's like their biggest commercial success for sure.
Absolutely. It's the pivotal moment that they went from like this awesome post-hardcore band
To
who would show up to play in like Chapter 4 and Unholy
butt
Confessions,
rock.
and they were just total mainstream. It
Yeah.
was like, oh, we're going to sign to Warner Brothers. I'm going to bend over on stage.
So here's the odd one out in this whole thing. Jason Mraz's Mr. A to Z.
I'm leaving.
Dude,
I'm out.
this album is actually really good.
You need to stop talking or I'm going to get up.
It's so all over the place, but it shows him as a musician just insanely talented.
I have no idea where you pulled that from.
Dude,
You need to put it back on the
I'm
shelf.
pretty sure I have the actual CD.
It is clear. It comes clear now.
It's so good.
It's like, so we just discovered that you have a guilty pleasure for Jason Mraz from 2005.
Yeah. 30 Seconds to Mars, A Beautiful Lie. Attack,
What?
A Beautiful Lie, The Kill from yesterday.
You put that on the honorable mentions?
Mm-hmm, and you'll see why. Him, Darklight. This was their like commercial success album with Wings of a Butterfly, Under the Rose, Killing Loneliness, Drunk on Shadows. Like Wings of a Butterfly was huge. That I'm pretty sure that played in Hot Topic like on repeat. But this album,
I think you could probably name a song from every album we've talked about that did
yeah,
that. But
I listened to this album for a long time, and it actually was the CD that was in my truck when I rolled it, and it's still in that truck.
didn't know you rolled your truck.
Yep.
How'd you do that?
Hit black ice and hit an embankment. Yep. I had to
Okay.
climb out the passenger's door like it was a manhole. It was quite difficult. And one of our local legends, so to say, August Burns Red, Thrill Seeker. I mean, Little Suburbia, Barbarian, Seventh Trumpet, Consumer, Speech Impediment, Shot Below the Belt.
Huge.
Wow.
Huge. Yeah, I mean, these guys, you'd never know they were like from half hour down the road, but
Yeah.
they redefined
They
their
may
genre.
be considered one of the greatest metalcore groups like of all time. If I had to guess, like
Yeah.
with how massive they are and have been for how long now,
Without a doubt.
like dude, like this album it was one that just flew right under the radar for me, and I looked at it and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that album. And then I started playing through the songs and I was like, oh, I know this album. Okay.
I mean, shockingly enough, you haven't mentioned that we actually record in the same town as a Grammy winner,
They won a Grammy?
Hailstorm.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I don't care about Hailstorm.
Well, you should. I mean,
Well, I mean, live as well. They're from right down the road.
I've met the guys from Live. I'm good.
I never said they were good dudes. So the top 4. Paramore, All We Know Is Falling. Pressure, Emergency, Here We Go Again, My Heart.
Incredible. Purely incredible.
Absolutely incredible.
Redefining.
Yeah.
Well, not really redefining, because it was their, freshman release. It was their breakout.
This album is really good.
Not Haley Williams' best performance, in my opinion, but I do actually like how her voice sounds on this album better than any other one.
Yeah, I can agree. Story of the Year, In the Wake of Determination. We Don't Care Anymore, Take Me Back, Our Time Is Now, Stereo, Is This My Fate, He Asked Them.
They took this album, they took their last album and they said, okay, we're going to leave that and we're going to go to this. And it was a big change.
You want to talk about riffs and just ripping. This album is just like, it's so good. Like like technical, like guitar wise, like just riffing, like this is like if you look at this album and you look at Ryan the guitar player as like a guitar player, watching him like play these like crazy riffs and just like shredding a guitar, like this is the album that I think of. It this album to me was just one that I had expectations going in from Page Avenue. I was like, okay, yeah. But when I got this, I was like, oh, like they let these influences in where it was just like their heavy metal influences were like punchy and just like breakdowny, like wow.
Yeah, I got to be honest and transparent about this. I think that there's a little bit of, I think it's a bit overplayed in spots, but it is. You can't deny it. Like there are times when it's unnecessary showboating, and it's like, okay, maybe like backing it off a little bit.
This also was like really melodic solo wise too. Like they never had like these unnecessary just like shred sessions where they're just playing sweep after sweep after sweep, tapping on. Like their solos for this were like melodic with everything.
Yeah, I didn't say they turned into a 15-year-old metal band. I just think there were instances where they could have approached it a little differently and instead chose to really go, all the way.
Yeah. So another one on the top 4, you're probably just going to disregard this album. But Stained Chapter 5, right here, Falling, Everything Changes. I think like this album for Stained, because I like Stained.
We can tell.
And like I think this album beats out 30 Seconds to Mars, because literally after you listen to those 4 songs, the album just falls hard on its face.
You mean the 30 Seconds to Mars album?
Yeah. It just falls flat on its face.
It's 4 greater than 0.
What?
Because I wouldn't listen to anything on that Stained album.
Yeah, but you're also just not a Stained fan. Like you're not.
I think I'm in the common here, in the common ground. No, it's fine. I'm not worried about it.
Then the last one is Panic at the Disco, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out. I forgot how many songs I knew on this album.
Yeah, it sticks with you.
And the names of the songs on this album, make them shorter. like it's like The Only Difference, Camisado, But It's Better If You Did, I Write Sins Not Tragedies, Lying is the most fun a girl can have. And it's like, dude, and that's not even like the full names of the songs. Like,
I mean, he's not wrong.
My God. But when I was like re-listening to this, I was like, oh my God, I forgot how many songs I knew from this album. I completely forgot that this band was even like a thing, if I'm going to be completely honest.
How did you forget Brendan Urie?
I mean,
I didn't with Taylor Swift.
I didn't forget Brendan Urie.
But that was
I
his,
forgot
that was the
his
band.
I
that
forgot
was the
his
band.
band.
That was who he was. That was it. It was the ugh.
I forgot his
My
band.
My mind is hurt.
Yeah.
Damn.
They weren't a band that was like on my radar, and I even saw them live. I saw them with Blink-182.
They did play with Blink-182.
So the top 4, Paramore, All We Know Is Falling, Story of the Years, In the Wake of Determination, Stained, Chapter 5, and Panic at the Disco, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out. Which one are you picking?
Paramore.
I was going to say it's between Panic at the Disco and Paramore. And I figured you'd probably pick Paramore.
You really don't put In the Wake of Determination up there?
I'm picking In the Wake of Determination.
Oh, I figured.
That is what I'm picking.
At least you were cognizant enough.
Strictly based on Take Me Back and Is This My Fate.
At least you were cognizant enough not to pick Stained.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not picking that one. That was never a choice. But that album is pretty massive. Like, because when I saw Aaron Lewis, it was like, he got off stage, came back on stage, and like played like his encore, and he played just all the Stained hits, and it was like, wow, I'm getting 2 shows for the price of 1. It was so sick. So that'll close out this segment that is an hour and something minutes long.
I'm gonna check my phone quick because it's blowing up.